Yeah, good day everyone. My name is Abdul Warith. It's been a very long time. I welcome you back to my channel. Today we'll be talking about contacting a professor for the first time, which is similar to saying sending a professor a cold email. So this can be applicable to anyone who is particularly interested in a professor and has an interest in sending them an email, maybe for graduate applications or for postdoctoral fellow or whatever fellowship you want to apply for, or let's say you just want to contact the professor for collaboration or for what have you. So today I will make sure I have I mention the key aspects which are what should be included in your email, and also some mistakes people make. So first of all, congratulations, you've made a list of professors you are interested in, you've gathered your email, you've gathered your research area and interest, you've also gathered your school. So to be honest, that is a lot of effort there. So congratulations. So let's say at the beginning, after you must have gathered the email, you've gathered the name of the professor, you want to start compiling, you want to start creating those emails that you want to send it to the professor. One of the big mistakes many persons make is sending same email to every professor, which is a very bad idea. After this video, you realize it's a very bad idea, because at the end, you realize that you have to make your email tailored to each professor in terms of research area and research interest. Now, one of the first things you want to make sure you don't have error in is the subject of your email, because this is going to pop up on the notification of the professor. So it's the first thing the professor is going to see. So how do you make sure your the subject of your email is up to standard, or let's say it's catching? So one of those things is just make sure you make it simple. You don't want to make it complicated. Simple to read, simple to understand. Let's say you are targeting graduate application, master's or PhD, you can make it MSc interest in biogeochemistry, MSc interest in organic chemistry. You can even make it just MSc interest or PhD interest in electrochemistry, PhD interest in whatever, material chemistry or material science or nanotechnology. So these are the things you can actually use as your subject, or you can say prospective PhD student or prospective MSc student. You can see these things are maybe 3 words, 2 words, not too long, catchy, and it's going to allow the professor to click it and see what exactly do you want to talk about. So the second thing is you want to make sure you address the professor appropriately. Here I will advise you to restrain from using the word sir and ma, because you don't want to use you don't want to attribute wrong gender to a professor. Let's say a professor is a lady or a she, you eventually use a sir. So that is a wrong attribution of gender. So one of the acceptable way is you say dear professor so. So dear professor, maybe the last name is acceptable, or you say dear professor, the first name and the last name. Here you make sure that you are not wrongly attributing gender to a professor who is a male to be a female, or who is a sir to be a man. So that is the second thing. The third thing now is the body of your email. Now, how do you structure the body of your email such that it will be interesting for the professor to want to read to the end? To be very honest, if you write an email in the first 5-10 seconds and the professor did not find it interesting, he's going to just close it and not reply your email. This is the reason why so many persons eventually do not get a reply in the end. So how do you make sure you get a reply? This is where it starts now. So first, you want to introduce yourself. You want to introduce yourself, not just introduce yourself, I'm Abdul Warith by name, and I hail from Ogun State, and no, this is not the type of introduction I'm talking about. You want to introduce yourself academically. Now, you can say, I am Abdulwaris by name, and or you want to, in this paragraph, in this scenario, you can also try to showcase your interest, like at the beginning. Instead of mentioning your school directly, you want to showcase your interest. Now, because without you showcasing your interest, I believe I still don't understand what you want to talk about. So, at the beginning, you want to say your name, your interest, and eventually you start talking about your education. This is still you introducing yourself. So let's say, for example, I am Abdulwaris by name, and I'm writing to inquire about a position in your research team and express my interest in undertaking a PhD sojourn under your supervision. So you can see you've introduced yourself, you've also mentioned your interest. So you can include the name of the university in the end, also so like that. And you can now move to your education. Now, I obtained a bachelor's degree, maybe first class honor or second class upper at so university in whatever. And here you can start talking about, okay, I graduated in the top whatever percent or top 2 of 100 students in my class. You want to showcase your strength. You want the professor to see that, oh, this person is one of the best fits or a best fit for my research, for my lab. So you want to make sure of that. Now, the next thing, remember, you've mentioned your interest at the beginning. You want to apply for a PhD. You are requesting for him to be your supervisor or PI, which is, what you are really interested in. So what about talking about your research interest? This comes after your education. Or if your research experience and your research interest aligns, there is nothing bad in putting these two things in a single paragraph. You can say, my research experience and interests are in the area of this, and this. Now, why do I say that? Because there are so many persons whose research experience and research interests are disparate. So in this case, those persons, we want to mention their research interest first and then their research experience. So, but if your research experience and research interests are similar, just put them in a single paragraph by saying, my research interest and experience is in the area of paleoclimate reconstruction, or this and that, and so on and so forth. So, for those whose research experience and interests are similar, it is easy. But for those whose research experience and interests are kind of different, it might be difficult for you to link them. But there is a way. Now, let me read an example for you here. This is one of the emails I've sent in the past, and let me just read it out because I had a background in geology. Now, I sent this email to a professor in chemistry. Now, you can see this is even a different department, not just different research areas. And I must tell you that this email, we had several back and forth discussion, and after sending this email. Now, let me read it for you. I started with my research, after all of the introduction and all of that, I have this. My research experience are in paleoclimate reconstruction using isotope and biogeochemistry. This research area has allowed me to understand the past climate and the effects of natural events that drastically perturb the climate and environment. Now, this is my experience. Now, because my interest is different from the experience, and I've mentioned my interest in the beginning and all of that, I now continue to say, I believe my knowledge and experience in this research combined with atmospheric and aerosol chemistry. Remember, this professor is a professor of atmospheric and aerosol chemistry, who focus on the modern environment. However, my own research experience had focused on ancient environment, although looking at atmospheric chemistry, but not aerosol chemistry. Now, I said combined with atmospheric and aerosol chemistry will be a great tool to advance the mitigation of effects arising from anthropogenic sources on our climate. Now, why do I make sure that I put the word anthropogenic? Because in the past, everything comes naturally. So you can see the way I make sure that my interest and my experience are linked. Not just the interest. My department, where I'm coming from a geology background into a chemistry department. So this make it really, you want to make sure you link them. You don't just want them to be separated. So let's say, for example, your research experience is in one area and your research interest is in another area. There are transferable skill. Transferable skill like maybe lab work. You've done so many lab exercises. You've done so many field work. You've collected data. These are transferable skills. You've analyzed data. These are transferable skills. You know how to code, maybe using MATLAB or Python or whatever. You know how to do some modeling. These are transferable skills that can be applied in several fields. So you want to make sure you showcase that. Now, one other important thing is mentioning the research output of the professor. You want to acknowledge that. Now you can say, after perusing over your research or your publication on so, mention the publication, where the professor applied this and this in the electromagnetic field to say that the core of the art is this and that. You put all of those English together, and yes, you must mention that you've perused over this thing. Now, at this point, you should realize that sending a generic email to all of the professors, 50 professors, 20 professors at a time, you realize that is a wrong idea. Because at the point where you start introducing their research output or their contribution to the scientific knowledge, you realize that, each professor are unique. And your research interest might be the same for all of them, but their experiences, the tools they use in their research might be different, and the output they are contributing are different. So you want to make sure that you address this aspect as well. After that, you want to, maybe show your affirmation, like let's say, for example, I have something like, in joining your research team, I am undoubtedly learning. I am undoubtedly learning and working with driven and passionate experts in the field. Like, more like praising them, and you want to more so, I am optimistic about strengthening your legacy in the aforementioned research area. So, all of these things, you want to make sure it's captured within your email. And finally, you want to make sure that you attach everything you must have mentioned in the email. Let's say, for example, you mentioned your academic transcript. If you're applying for master's or PhD or whatever, you've mentioned your academic transcript in the email. Attached here is my academic record and my academic CV. You want to make sure you attach your CV, which is up to date. And sometimes if it's an advertised position, they might have some requirements you need to attach as well. Maybe a proposal, a writing material, something you've written in the past, maybe an abstract. So these are things you can attach to your email. So I believe with this, we've done so well to writing our email. And finally, you want to attach yours, whatever. Thank you. I look forward to hearing from you very soon. Or thank you for your consideration. I have attached this and that for your perusal and whatever. So you can see you've structured your email from the beginning with the subject and followed by the what's it called? The salutation. Salutation, you have to do it appropriately, like I mentioned. Followed by your introduction, introduce yourself, your educational background, your research experience and interest, the research output of the professor, and your affirmation. You have to show your affirmation. It's very, very important. Thank the professor, attach your document, CV, every other thing that is needed to be attached, and yours sincerely, or thanks or best regards, Abdul Warith Ajagbijo. You have to put your name. You have to put your first name and your last name. You don't put just your first name, because the professor does not know you. You have to make it formal. Your first name and your last name. You don't have to put any hyperlinks. These are some of the mistakes we make. Also, there are some auto signatures some people add to their email, like some quotes, some philosophical quotes, and all of that. Some professor doesn't like this. You can always remove it, and just your name. Your name is fine. You don't have to put your link to the LinkedIn, or except mention, or maybe the professor is the position is an advertised position, and they ask that you attach a link to your research output. You want to attach that. These are things you can attach. But attaching an hyperlink maybe to your LinkedIn or to your Facebook or to whatever social media or professional account you have might not be necessary. So with this, I believe we've made justice to sending cold email or contacting a professor for the first time. And I will appreciate if you can share this with your colleagues, your friends, and also please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.